Welcome back. This is the last episode of this season's Planeta G, which is all about California. If you haven't seen the first two episodes, don't miss them. We'll leave them linked down below. But just to give you a little summary, so far in the season, we've explored what struggles and what wins the Latino community in California have faced over the decades. From the realities of living near oil extraction sites to extreme weather, extreme heat, and increasing fires, to how farm worker communities have historically organized and how they continue to organize today to demand a better life for themselves and their families. On today's episode, I wanted to learn a little bit more what communities have done to fight back against oil extraction in their backyards and what Californians can do to change the law of the land to improve their lives and their livelihoods. To get the picture, I invited another new friend from Kern County who has done so much fighting with communities and really made a big difference. His name is Juan Flores, and he's a community organizer with the Center for Race, Poverty, and the Environment. Hola, Juan.
Hola, Valentina.
Nice to see you.
Likewise. So happy to be here.
I just want to learn a little bit more about this issue you've been fighting for, this word I hear all the time, which is buffer zones. And a lot of people might not understand what that is. So could you explain to us what are buffer zones and why they're so important?
In California, there are currently, right now, as you and I are speaking, there's nothing in place, no regulation, no law that prohibits an oil well to be less than, well, actually there's no limit. They can be literally right behind your house. And it's not only homes, but they're like next to hospitals, clinics, schools, daycares, churches, parks, next to where we live and we're trying to have our social life. So that's very impactful. So what's the benefit of having setbacks? Well, you're going to push back this industry that pollutes, that contaminates our water or air, that is very invasive. I mean, imagine having an oil pump behind your house, pumping oil every single day of the year, every single minute, and they have a diesel engine, and they're making a noise like a big semi-truck, and that's permanent right behind your house. And there's literally nothing to do with it. Buffer zones that we have in California were set in place in a small community here in Kern County called Arvin. Arvin took up that fight because they knew dangers of having oil drilling and all of their operations next to them.
You cannot talk about oil extraction in California and a community struggle against it without talking about Arvin, California. So I asked Juan to take us to Arvin and show us what really happened there.
Hi, Valentina. Welcome to Arvin, California. We are in the south end of Kern County. And as you can see behind me, there's an oil well that has been extracting oil for about 20 years in this community. As you can tell, the proximity to the homes, to the families that live in Arvin, it's really close. This pump is less than 30 feet away from the homes. There's children playing on the backyards of these houses. This is the reality for thousands of families in California. Whether it's Kern County, LA County, or Monterey County, families are being exposed not only to the noise, the sound, the work that needs to happen when they extract oil, but also to the fumes of old engines, diesel engines, that are generating the power for these pumps to extract oil. This is the reality of California, the state with the 5th largest economy in the whole world. We are our own economy within the nation. Our families have to live with this. We have enough human power, economic power, for us to invest on renewable energies, to move away from fossil fuels, and to give people a better life, a chance to have a healthier life. Sadly, in Arvin, that's not the reality today.
Just like in our first episode, we're seeing oil extraction in Arvin, California happening so close to homes and close to schools. Juan really wanted to show us what that looks like and what that feels like. So he took us to a fracking site right next to a school in Arvin.
We continue to be here in Arvin. As you see, we're gonna keep talking about oil wells and oil extraction really close to homes, to neighborhoods, to children. We are right next to me on my right-hand side. You can see an oil well. And on my left-hand side, you can see Greenway Academy. There's children from ages preschool all the way to 8th grade in this school that are being exposed to these fumes, that are exposed as well to the drilling effects of the oil extraction. These wells, because they're so old, and because the oil within our ground here in Kern County, it's so compacted on rock, they have to use a method called hydraulic fracturing. People might know it better as fracking. When fracking happens, our crude oil in Kern County is so thick that it's so expensive for oil companies to actually refine once it comes to the surface. So while they're doing fracking, they're mixing sand, water, and about 150 different chemicals, and up to 600 chemicals in certain cases here in Kern County. And those chemicals help the oil industry to kind of filter out the oil as it's coming up to the surface. Our children are exposed to that.
While we have you and Arvin, Juan, I really want to know what you think our elected officials should and must do to protect not just our communities at large, but especially the children who are forced to grow up and go to school right next to such toxic oil extraction sites.
Is it fair? Obviously, it's not fair to them. Can we create a better future for them? Yes, we can. We have shown and we have proven the rest of the world that California can be a lead when it comes to environmental justices. So we're hoping that our elected officials finally become the leaders that our communities deserve, and that they take action in protecting our people. You and I were talking the other day about this, on how sad it is to call an elected official a progressive elected official just because they take a stand to protect our health. Shouldn't that be the responsibility of every elected official, whether Democrat or Republican, to look for the well-being of the communities? Again, we have to bring down this whole myth about jobs versus the environment. We can have good, high-paying, quality jobs at the same time that we're taking care of the environment and that we're taking care of our families. It is possible. Let's do it in California.
Governor Newsom had a big announcement about these kinds of setbacks. So what was that big news, and how is that going to change the landscape, or is it going to change the landscape?
The announcement was that it's starting roughly, we estimate that at the middle of January, depending how the process goes, California has established a rulemaking that will regulate the distance between oil wells, drilling, extraction, fracking, all of that from neighborhoods. We have been asking the governor that we have the science to back us up, that we need at least a buffer zone of 2,500 feet from foam sensitive receptors from oil drilling. It took us almost 2 years from when the governor said we're going to start a rulemaking process to put a buffer zone in place in California. When he said we are going to put in place a buffer zone in California of 3,200 feet. So that is huge. Now, that is distance. now that's the protective distance that we need in that our communities, especially low-income communities, communities of color, los niños de nuestras comunidades that have been suffering from asthma, that's the distance that they need. Everyone that lives in California, you're welcome to write a comment and send it to the governor's office. Thank you. We appreciate fight for these setbacks, because the oil industry they already started fighting the setbacks in the announcement that the government made. So we have to defend it. We gotta make sure now that our state officials don't walk back on us, and that they remain firm, and that we were able to have these setbacks in place.
Perfect. Great. Well, we're going to link that down below. Thank you so much for all of the hard work that you and your comrades and your community are doing in California. It's really inspirational. And I know we at Greenpeace always look to you for guidance and leadership in everything you do in Kern County. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you so much.
And that is it for season 2 of Planeta G, in which we went deep into California's history and current struggles of the Latinx community. We really hope to see you again soon, where we take another deep dive into another community. If you have any suggestions, or if you live somewhere where you think that's really the place where the struggle is happening right now, please leave it in the comments below. We want to learn more about what you're doing and how you are fighting the big fight for climate justice. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you again soon. Chaucito.